Most people don't realize this. Confidence doesn't convince you, it calms you. When someone speaks with certainty, your brain relaxes. Not because they're right, but because uncertainty disappears. The words matter less than the delivery. A steady tone, no hesitation, no searching for language. Confidence signals that the thinking is already done, so your brain stops doing it. That's why confident statements feel clean, complete, final, even when they're wrong. You don't notice the missing evidence, you notice the absence of doubt. And the moment doubt disappears, your brain starts treating certainty as truth. That's where this really begins. Once certainty is present, the brain changes how it listens. It stops evaluating and starts accepting. Not consciously, automatically. Certainty acts like a shortcut. It reduces effort, and the brain prefers less effort. Under confidence, questions feel unnecessary, details feel secondary, gaps go unnoticed. Your attention shifts from what is being said to how stable it sounds. That stability creates a sense of order, and order feels safe. So accuracy becomes less important than coherence. Not because you decide it is, but because your brain has already adjusted. This is how confidence begins to reorganize judgment. And once judgment shifts, attention is the next thing to move. As attention shifts, comparison disappears. Your brain stops weighing alternatives. It settles on what's in front of it. Confident voices narrow focus. They reduce contrast. Everything else fades. That's why opposing ideas feel weaker, even before they're examined. Not because they lack substance, but because they arrive without certainty. Under confidence, doubt sounds like noise. So, the mind leans toward the clearest signal, the most stable voice, the least friction. This is how confidence reshapes perception. Not by adding information, but by removing competition. And when alternatives disappear, belief feels effortless. When confidence holds the frame, evidence becomes optional. Statements stop needing support. They stand on tone alone. The brain fills in what isn't there. It assumes proof exists somewhere out of view. Confidence creates that assumption, quietly. So weak explanations pass unchecked. Not because they're strong, but because they sound complete. This is why certainty feels convincing. It signals closure. And once closure appears, the mind stops looking for more. That's the moment evidence fades and confidence takes its place. Once evidence fades, authority moves in. Confidence doesn't just sound certain, it sounds entitled to be believed. The brain reads this as status, experience, position. Not because any of that is proven, but because certainty implies it. So the speaker feels elevated and the listener adjusts downward. Questioning starts to feel inappropriate, almost disruptive. This shift happens silently. No agreement is made, no decision is noticed. Yet influence has already changed hands, and from here, correction becomes unlikely. Once authority is assumed, resistance weakens. The brain stops preparing objections. It listens for alignment instead. Disagreement starts to feel inefficient, unnecessary, out of place. Confidence sets the tempo. Others fall in step. So even flawed ideas move forward, not because they're examined, but because nothing interrupts them. This is how certainty gains momentum. Each moment unchallenged makes the next one easier. And once momentum builds, reversal feels heavier than acceptance. As momentum builds, group dynamics shift. Confidence doesn't stay individual. It spreads. Others mirror the tone, the posture, the certainty. Silence becomes agreement. Nods replace evaluation. Doubt still exists, but it stays internal. Because speaking up carries a cost. Awkwardness, disruption, attention. So confidence survives untested. Not because everyone believes it, but because no one challenges it. And when challenge disappears, wrong ideas gain social protection. Once confidence gains social protection, correction starts to feel personal. Challenging certainty no longer sounds neutral. It sounds confrontational. The confident speaker feels exposed, so disagreement feels like attack. Your brain senses this. It anticipates tension, and it avoids it. So hesitation becomes silence, and silence reinforces certainty, not because the idea survives scrutiny, but because scrutiny feels costly. At this point, being right matters less than keeping the balance, and confidence remains intact, not through truth, but through avoidance. As avoidance takes over, correction stops feeling possible. Not because it can't happen, but because the moment has passed. Confidence hardens with time. Each unchallenged moment makes it feel settled. What once sounded assertive now sounds established. The brain rereads history. It assumes acceptance meant accuracy. So wrong ideas gain a timeline. They start to feel proven. At this stage, certainty isn't questioned. It's remembered, and what's remembered as stable rarely gets re-examined. When something has sounded right for long enough, it stops sounding questionable. Confidence becomes memory. Memory becomes belief, and belief feels self-generated. By the time you notice the mistake, it doesn't feel introduced. It feels inherited. That's why confident people rarely sound wrong, even when they are. If this made you notice something you hadn't before, subscribe, because this isn't the only pattern hiding in plain sight.